So first of all, welcome. I'm excited to see so many of you here. That says you're interested in what's happening in your neighborhood. So welcome. This is not a city council meeting. This is actually a neighborhood meeting. But before we get started, I just have a few housekeeping items that I like to share with you. First of all, if you have a cell phone with you, would you please turn it on airplane mode or on off? Buzzers and beeps and rings will disturb the meeting, and since we're on a very limited time schedule here, we don't want that to happen. So the other thing I'm going to ask is that everybody be respectful. We are going to be very respectful towards you. You are going to be respectful towards us, and you're going to be respectful to your neighbor even if they disagree with you. With that, I'd like to do a few introductions first, real quick. So this evening, here this evening is Kathleen Refkin. She is one of our council members. She's about halfway through her first term, and she is also a city council, a resident of Woodland, Cove, and that's why she's been invited here this evening. Some of you probably already know her. And I can tell you she's a quick learner. She is on top of all the issues in the city currently that we're dealing with. I can also introduce to you, can stand up because some people can't see you, Jasper Krugel. He is our brand new city administrator. He's been here since April 11th. He is not new to that position, though, because he was with the city of LeSueur for nearly 5 years as their administrator and has been in city government for several years prior to that. I'm Lisa Whalen. And then we have our police officer, and I was joking before, he's not here to keep you in line. He is here just in case there's some traffic or safety issue questions that maybe we can't answer. Maybe Officer Justin can answer that for us. Thompson, I should say Thompson. Thank you. So with that, I am Lisa Whalen, and I am your mayor. And I have previously I served on the council as a council member for 12 years, and I have been your mayor for the past 8 years. You add those numbers together, so I have 20 years of experience in municipal government, particularly here in Minnetrista. I have lived here for almost 38 years, so I know the city inside and out, and I know many of the residents here as well. The city is dear to me. I love it. I like and love many of the residents here as well. So with that, I just have a couple of things I want to share with you. So why are we having this meeting tonight? Well, it's because I received a email from a Doug Mueller. Are you here this evening, Doug? A Doug Mueller.
He said he would be late.
Okay. All right. Well, whatever gentleman walks in late, we'll assume that's Mr. Mueller. He asked if I could meet with you folks in a neighborhood meeting. And after just discussing this with Jasper and with Kathleen, we thought, because of the number of individuals, that it might be a good idea to hold it here. So with that, the other thing I want to point out is we really don't want to focus on water infrastructure tonight. Some of you may know that what we did back in May, we held a 2.5-hour open house town hall forum just for that purpose. And we discussed it, we answered questions, we talked about the infrastructure and what our plans are. And if you weren't able to attend that, which I know many of you were not, we also did tape record it, and it is on our YouTube, on our website. So if you have, I will allow, if we have time at the end of this session, to address some of the questions regarding water. I will give you a very, very quick update. We authorized Trout Wells to do 2 test wells for us in the very, very corner, the southeast corner of Woodland Cove. Those test wells have been dug, and the outcome has been very, very good. The water is now at a lab being tested for water quality. The next step is then to get approval from the city council to move forward, and which will happen. And then we need to get approval from the DNR to drill permanent wells. Along with that, we'll be working on the other water infrastructure. The other exciting news that we have recently done, and we just signed the contract on Monday, we hired an engineering firm, AES2, and they will will be working with us solely on our water infrastructure projects and our water infrastructure for the entire city. We're excited about this because this is what they do. This is their sole. They do water resources, water infrastructure being one of their primary engineering things that they do. And so we're excited to have them on board. The other thing I'll just point out too is that this is being filmed, videotaped, so you have to behave yourselves. We will be posting it on our website, and I think, Kathleen, you're going to be posting it on the Woodland Cove website as well. So if you want to revisit it, you can do that. And for those that weren't able to be here, you can watch it later on as well. So with that, the other thing I wanted to do really quickly, I think will answer some of your questions. So probably all of you don't know what the process is for getting a development, especially a development the size of Woodland Cove. So Woodland Cove, so I want to kind of walk you very quickly through that process. Woodland Cove is about 490 acres, and I'm not going to give you the whole history on it, although it's somewhat interesting. The Carlson family owned a large portion of that. So that's the kind of the history. Again, I won't go into that. But back in the late 2009, 2010, there were a number of proposals that were rejected for various reasons, the Met Council being one of them. And so finally, the Carlson Group, their real estate and development group, came to the city and they said, we have an idea, and we're going to buy all this property within what's currently Woodland Cove, and we want to develop it. The Met Council also dictated to us in terms of the density. So we have 1,071 units that we have to put in Woodland Cove. Those units are going to be consisting of single-family homes, large lots, small lots, villas, townhomes, and also part of that plan was an apartment building. Also part of that plan was some commercial space. Now with that, when a developer comes to the city, they first come and they say, well, here's a very, very high level, 10,000 feet up in the air kind of a view as to what our thoughts are, how we want this to be developed. And the city says what they want, and they kind of give their input. And they say, okay, well, this is good, that's good, we don't want that, we want this, and so on. And so there's a give and take and a back and forth. So that's called the sketch process. And then what we do is we say, when you come back, give us this, 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 and this, and we list out the things that we want to see in this development. So then they come back for the preliminary. And when they come back for the preliminary, if they have, then the staff looks it over again, and they put conditions on that preliminary approval, and they say, okay, if you do A, B, C, D, all the way, whatever, how many conditions they have on that, we will give you preliminary approval. Once preliminary approval has been given, basically the city can only, if you will, rubber stamp any final approvals. Once we give them preliminary approval, we must give them final approval. If they meet all of the criteria and all of the conditions that the city has set forth. With Woodland Cove, because it was a large project especially for our community. We've never had a project this large before. There's a master plan, if you will. And so the master plan has preliminary approval, and now what they do is they come in with a phase, and they say, okay, this is the next phase that we want to do. And then the city approves the final phase. So basically, what's been approved, the city can't say no to. So with McIntoons, for instance, and that's why we're all here this evening, when McIntoons came to the city and said, this is what we want to do, we said, well, one, you have to give the city a half acre or more. And thank you. Mr. Doug Mueller is here, so welcome, Mr. Mueller. Your name was mentioned, but not in vain. So thank you. So with the approval, they came to the city and they said, we're interested in potentially putting a grocery store here. What do we have to do to meet your criteria? One, the area that they're talking about is roughly 20 acres, and that has been guided for commercial for 10 plus years, ever since the very beginning of Woodland Cove. Most of you probably have seen a huge sign that says commercial land available, and as long as they meet one, they have to put a apartment building there with at least 130 units in order to meet our density. They also have to have certain hardcover requirements, and the city said we want them to give us half acre, 3/4 of an acre for public purposes. We anticipate putting in a satellite fire station, also a spot where the police maybe can be housed or an officer out of there. So if you meet those requirements and you meet all of the other requirements that the city has, yes, you can put your grocery store there. And that's what they've been doing. They've been working with staff to make sure that their stormwater ponding is correct, that their hardcover is correct, that all of the things that they need to do are correct. And that they are, so far, they're meeting or exceeding all of the requirements. So now you might say, well, what can the city do, or why are you all here? One, I think it's good information to share with you all. And two, the other thing is that there's certain little things that the city can do. We can say, for instance, what about lighting, street lighting? We want down lighting so that it offers less light pollution and doesn't shine into a neighbor's homes. We can say that. We can say put in a berm with some trees in order to try and mitigate some of the impacts to the adjoining neighborhoods. Those are things that we can do. We're also doing a traffic study to determine turn lanes and how long. So some of you may have noticed there's already some turn lanes on King Points Road going into this lot that doesn't have anything there right now. But we need to determine whether or not those turn lanes are going to be long enough and if they're going to be adequate. We're also so the developer is doing a traffic study to determine how long these turn lanes need to be, where they should be, if they need to be in a different location up further or whatever. The other thing is they're also looking at if there's a need for stop signs or that type of thing. Keep in mind, there's limitations because of Highway 7. We can't just arbitrarily put in stop signs and stoplights because there's no possibility, we can't allow traffic to back up onto Highway 7. So that would be a very bad thing. Is there anything else that I need to cover, do you think, initially?
Mayor, can I ask?
So, yes, hold on just a second. I just want to make sure that I've kind of covered some of the basics, and then obviously we're going to open it up for questions. So I think, let's see, just one more thing, and then we're going to open it up. So I want to just say one thing, that it's, being on the city council and being the mayor, we have decisions that we have to make, and sometimes they're tough decisions. And sometimes they're not. You can't please all of the people all of the time, and you can't, we hope we please some of the people some of the time. And if we're doing that, we're doing well. But what we have to do is we have to take the facts. We have to take the facts, and we have to take the law. And the law is dictated, a lot of them are by the state, some of them are by county, and some of them are by city ordinances. And we have to take the laws into consideration, and we have to follow them. And so when somebody says, well, just don't approve this, that would actually be against the law. So we can't do that. And I just want to set that clear tonight, because if any of you have an expectation that the city council is going to deny this, I want to make it clear that's not going to happen. If they don't meet all of the requirements and recommendations and contingents or requirements that we have, then we can deny it. But if they meet all of those, we must approve it. So with that, the city council has a very difficult job at times because we have to deal with people that are unhappy, but we also have to weigh the pros and cons. And yes, there's maybe 50, 60 people in the room today, but we have nearly 9,000 people that we have to think about and what is in the best interest of the entire city. So this doesn't only impact your neighborhood, although we do understand that it impacts some of you more significantly than others. And we understand that, and we get that. And we know that's why some of you are very concerned about this. We are concerned about it as well, and we will do our best to try and minimize those impacts. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out, and we're going to go row by row with your questions, and then we'll come back and you can ask more questions, okay? So I'm going to start with Mr. Mueller over there. We're considering you in the first row.
Mr. Mueller.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. First of all, we very much appreciate you meeting with us. I know we had some emails, and I appreciate you responding quickly to me, and very much appreciate your time and the others that are giving them time to come to the meeting. You know, we're kind of confused because we've got the developer, we've got the city, we've got MnDOT, we've got DNR, we've got our association. I guess my question is, who controls our streets?
Depends on the street.
Okay.
So,
My main question behind this is we have crosswalks by the roundabout into Kings Point. We have no crosswalks in our complex going off Kings Point into Woodland, Cove Drive.
okay.
So I'm kind of wondering who would be responsible if we want crosswalks in our complex to talk to about that?
If they're on city streets, it would be the city's right to put crosswalks in. And if you need crosswalks or would like them, we'll make a note of that. And Jasper's taking notes, and we can look into that, definitely.
And just one more question, then I'll move on. They have put rock in the entrance to Kings Point, Commerce, Woodland Cove Drive, Kings Point.
Okay.
They have put rock on the boulevard there. The rock is spilling over into the street. It can blow tires, I know from experience.
That's temporary until the construction stops.
Yeah, I would think that would be, and
But who can, is that a developer?
I can, hold on. It's not a developer question. What I'll do is I'll talk to our public works director and see if they can, now this is the other thing. You can also call the police. They're out patrolling all the time, and when they see things, they can report it to our public works too. So I would say report it to public works or to a police, and then we can see if we can clean it up.
Now, you know, can you kind of
Yep.
look into that?
Okay, thank
I'll
you.
let-
Justin or Mr. Tom?
If you would like, I work this evening and I can address that this evening.
Yeah, I was there this morning, but I don't know if it's there now.
And I caught part of that. What was a specific concern with what?
Well, they put rock in where the sod died.
Yep,
So
okay.
Trucks are going over the curb and making the rock spill on the road.
Fair
And
enough.
it's out on the road enough to cause us to go.
The very
through
first
our
entrance
tires.
Yeah,
So it's kind of a safety concern.
We'll address it first thing. Yep.
okay, thank you.
Can I just add a comment?
You know, I really,
On the board, and I had
Okay.
a complaint specifically from motorcyclists.
Right.
It's extremely dangerous for them.
okay.
Okay, when cars, yes.
Right.
but motorcyclists.
And what will happen, thank you, Mr. Harden, probably what will happen is, even if they go and remove the rocks from the public street, I'm assuming, that most likely if those big trucks continue to go over it, you're going to continue to have. So you're going to have to continue to report that,
Well,
okay?
the whole issue we have is all the construction traffic is coming through there.
There's no other place for them to go.
Why are there entrances from Highway 7 into that development?
So, hold on.
Move on to what we're actually here.
Yeah. So I'm going to go to did you have a question? Okay, go ahead.
It kind of is more of a statement. I personally appreciate council and staff and the mayor. Thank you. And our neighborhood. I'm a resident and live on Woodland Cove Parkway. My concern is specifically related to the development. I'm supportive of progressing with the plan. I get it. I really do. And we should lean into that. But the voice that we have in the community is I jolted when I heard rubber stamp the final approval. Yikes. The original approval didn't contemplate this plan, ma'am. So the discussion, I think, is exactly what we need. The discussion is a question of how best does the character of the development, how is that impacted by the proposal? And I'll be brief. I think from St. Bonnie up the hill, as you look up, no mistake, it's a 6-story building. It's 2 levels of underground parking and 4 levels of housing. There's no
So,
getting around it.
yeah.
And
I
that's
understand.
70-some
Yeah.
odd feet. So that's the first question I got. I think it's out of, please.
Yeah.
I think it's out of character of the kind of rural serenity that is embraced by our community, that we have all paid a price at different levels for. I would ask for tremendous consideration on thinking about mass and height in the planning process. And yes, we should have a voice in that, and we should be heard. We should work with the staff, and we should work with the council to have that appropriately addressed.
Thank you.
I would also say that, that considering the development, I spoke at the planning commission meeting as well.
Okay. I'm going to give you one more minute because we have a lot of people here.
I'll take less time.
Okay.
Just interrupt
Yeah.
me. I would say very much so. We are in favor, I am in favor, not speaking for everybody, but looking at the development from a holistic standpoint, not having a front door treated differently than the side door or the back door.
Okay.
Because all are impacted by the neighborhood.
Sure.
Thank you for
Thank you.
posting this.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right. Any other questions?
Just to be clear, so they've already received preliminary approval?
No, they have received, they have come to the city for site plan, and their preliminary approval will be coming later, probably within a month or two.
Correct, yeah, they'll be going to the planning commission on the 29th, I believe,
But at
Right.
this point, you can't put any
or 22nd.
conditions in there.
No, the conditions that would be put in would be stormwater runoff, vegetation, lighting, pretty much, I mean, the council as well as the planning commission looked at this. We looked at the height, we looked at the apartment building, we looked at the design, the architectural design of it, and felt that it did fit. Certainly, it's not a rural, but then when you think about Woodland Cove, how is that rural? I mean, so Woodland.
5 minutes on that.
No, you've had your 5 minutes. So, but we've looked at it.
They will get preliminary approval.
I'm thinking that unless some glitch comes up, that they will be getting approval.
And the glitch would be from them.
Correct. So one other question?
Well, just sort of a question, not for you, but for people that don't like this idea. It's zone commercial, so it's gonna be commercial.
It's guided for commercial and the PUD, yes.
My question is, if they don't like a grocery store,
It could be a Target.
what
It could be a
it
Target.
could be a tattoo
It could be a lot of things.
It's gonna be something.
It's going to be something, correct. And that's the thing, quite honestly. Again, we'll be doing a traffic study and determining, and I would guarantee that McIntoon's grocery store will bring in less traffic than like a Target or a big box retailer. So, yeah, exactly. So, any other?
There's two other commercial.
There's two other lots across the street. They're not as big. This one is around approximately 20 acres. The two other lots across the street, I think you have it on your you can see they're maybe like a few acres, if I had to guess. I don't know the exact amount, but it's the second picture on the handout. Those are also commercial. Those might, I'm not, again, we're not actively, you should know, we're not actively seeking at this time more commercial, but with rooftops, and Woodland Cove is providing those rooftops, more people are going to be, or more companies are going to be interested in having something there. So right up until now, all of the commercial people have said there's not enough rooftops. But now apparently they feel there is. So, yes.
I'm a supporter. I'm looking forward to having McIntoons there. I think they'll be a great neighbor. My two concerns are traffic.
Mhm.
And I actually went and spoke with one of the owners today at McIntoons, and she also said that they were paying for a traffic study.
Yes.
And very interested in working with the city, working with us, want to be a good neighbor. So traffic and then landscaping. I
Mhm.
think it should rise to the level
Right.
of Woodland Cove and be more beautiful than the Waconia landscaping, which of course is more part of the strip.
Yeah.
It's all concrete.
And that's something we can work with them on,
Beautiful.
definitely.
So those
Thank you.
comments, I think, are the things important, but count me among the supporters. I'd much rather have McIntoons. They're local, they care about the community. I think they'll be a good neighbor, way more so than just about any other large business I can think of. And thank
We've
you for
heard,
having us.
we've heard that this, just so you know, we've heard very, very good comments regarding mac and tunes in the communities that they're in. And this would be their 4th store, I believe, and they're very supportive of communities. So that is a plus. Any other? I'm gonna go here, okay, quickly, and then I'm gonna go in. We'll have to go in the back here. Go question, comment.
Well, comment, agree with your comment. Third concern, is the apartments and the density and the characteristic that will bring to the neighborhood. And I think it plays into the first concern of traffic.
Sure. So let's try and get, thank you. Let's try and get through this. So I understand traffic is a concern, right? How many are concerned about traffic? All right. So let's talk about that without having to go through every single one, okay? I'm going to, I have a letter here from a gentleman in your neighborhood, and he addresses traffic. And so he says some of the solutions are expand the existing roundabout so that it has dedicated right turn lanes which merge with and through traffic outside the roundabout. Okay, I don't know if all of you know this, but that roundabout used to be a double roundabout. Exactly what this gentleman is saying we should do. It did not work. And I will ask Officer Thompson. Officer Thompson, is that a good idea to have it as a double roundabout, or is a single roundabout better, which it is now?
Yep, currently it is now a single lane, and I will say, yep, given the past and the double lane that they had there, it did not work out. I would say in the last year for sure. Don't hold me to any numbers, without being. We've had little to no accidents at that roundabout, both property damage or personal injury. Anything beyond that, when it was double lane, it was not only the accidents that were concerned, a lot of people that didn't know how to use the roundabout, and it was also the, for lack of a better word, the road rage incidents or the disturbances that were caused because people merging or believed to be cut off in the roundabout. So it was, we had significant issues and a significant call load, and when they changed the lane striping of that, it was a wonderful thing in our mind. Not to be, call load went down. That's all I'll say.
The other thing I'll say is, you may or may not know this, so MnDOT has, over the course of the last, I think, 6 months, been conducting a safety study all along the Highway 7 corridor. There are, right now, there's a preliminary report out saying that there's not a lot that they're going to change with that roundabout. They're just going to observe it. So whatever that means. However, the full report is going to be coming out sometime the end of August, beginning of September, I believe, and so we'll watch that. The Highway 7, this gentleman, Mr. Muller, asked earlier, who's in charge? So State Highway 7 is MnDOT. That's the Minnesota Department of Transportation. They have authority over it, and we have very little to say about it. We did negotiate with them when Woodland Cove was going in, because we said we need more than one exit or one entrance into Woodland Cove. They said, well, you can use Lotus Drive going out to 44. We said, well, that's not good because 44 only has a stop sign there. So the city and county and MnDOT worked together, and we had to pay something for it, but we put in a stop light at 44 and Kings Point Road. That's what they would allow us to do. They didn't even want to do that. And we worked with them and we said it's an absolute must. The county supported us on that as well. So that's one of the things that we do, but it is extremely hard to get more entrances, and I would say impossible to get more entrances onto Highway 7 from from Woodland Cove at this point. So I'll have one question real quick. The second.
You've done a great job of addressing traffic. That's great supporter of this project. Really supportive of Mac and Films, even the apartment building to support sustained use of Mac and Films. We need it in the area. Do you have one very modest, reasonable request for pedestrian traffic? Because we have over 3,000 residents. You're looking at over 25 residents crossing that Kings Point. If you could install a little bit more rigorous pedestrian crossing at Kings Point with more
Kings Point and like Woodland, or?
Where they have it identified in the plan
Mhm.
as a crossing area.
Okay.
But just ensure that you've got more
Sure.
reflective crossing, and if you could put even those solar powered flashing, like they have on
Mhm.
Bowling Acres.
Yeah.
So to ensure, we've got tons of kids and families that are gonna be crossing there, we just wanna make sure
safe.
The other thing is on the other side, what are they gonna do with all these bikes and wagons and scooters? There's no real place to put those. However, they have over 100 extra parking spaces that they need. They could take those 23 parking spaces to the right or to the east of that Caribou traffic lane and just convert that back into grass. It would reduce their impervious. They could put a couple of tables there with a pergola and some parking for all of that. Otherwise, it's gonna clutter up, be a safety hazard.
So
That's
what?
all I'm asking for.
Sure. Good ideas. Good ideas.
Yeah,
Thank
very
you.
modest, very low
Yeah.
cost, increase safety.
Yeah. Thank you. Hold on just a second.
Yeah, I can address the pedestrian crossing. That's something that we're really cued in on too, because we understand there's a lot of pedestrian movements from the neighborhood. And what you're referring to is a rapid flashing beacon, the thing that you hit and then it starts flashing the lights and then you can cross. They're looking at something like that in that intersection so that you can safely get across there, because we anticipate there'll be a lot of people walking, you know, both from the apartment to the trail network and all of that. So we're looking at that. And then we can mention that that about scooter and bicycle parking and things like that in that area too.
I'm going to thank you. Thank you. Good comments. And this lady right there in the
Is there any plans to put sidewalks in with this? Because there's no sidewalks along Kings Point Road, and there's gonna be a lot of people coming up from the back developments along Kings Point, because they're never gonna take the trails the long way around, because that's gonna be a hot walk.
Sure.
And with all of the trucks and things, there's 31 semi trucks that they're expecting to go through there per week, which is a lot. So if there isn't protected pedestrian walkways on sidewalks and stuff like that, it's gonna be a very dangerous situation. And people speed along that road a
Right.
lot, and
Okay.
it's pretty narrow, so.
We can, I'm not sure if, good point again. I'm not sure if there's sidewalks or there aren't there?
Along Kings, no,
Okay.
along Kings Point Road, there isn't any planned right now, but we're looking at it because we're anticipating more of that type of movement.
Yeah.
But I think from the beginning, there's never been any. I think it's considered an arterial street, but we kind of look when these developments happen. You look at where the pedestrians go and what they're using, and then you kind of build it to that, because you don't really know. It's usually the path of least resistance. So yeah, if that is the case, that's something that we're gonna have to look at.
Do you factor in that people might walk or ride their bikes to the Caribou there, and so there would be a need for more sidewalk along?
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
that will be to your point, that it's a dangerous already.
Right.
By putting a sidewalk in there in anticipation and have the new development paid for.
Right. No, those are good points, and we'll have to. We'll be working, I think, with a developer, and we'll be sharing a lot of these comments with them even prior to the next meeting, so to see what we can work out. Hold on. I'm going to go to Mr. Harden there.
Thanks, Jeff Harden, Woodland Cove resident, board member for the Ridge Townhomes. And prior to about 2 years ago, moving here to Woodland Cove, 21-year resident of Centennial Lakes area behind me. And within 1 block of my home was a Byerly store and a Super Target, which, you know, hey, what could be better than that? The best of everything, plus a whole lot more. However, with positives, there's also negatives.
Sure.
And my main concern, I like McIntoons, though I think the quality of the development, although it needs tweaks and some fixes, is great. I have no problem with that. My problem is that over the course of the completion of this development, the east side of Kings Point Road, and the additional approximately 380 homes to be added in the final phases of Woodland Cove that aren't built or lived in, or maybe it's closer to 400, we're gonna have like 3 or 4 times the amount of traffic that we do today. And
So let's.
somebody who's very experienced, I know that there are concentrations of traffic that, you know, we just talked, you just.
So can I cut you a little short, just because I've got your letter here and I was going to address that. So you're getting to the point that you think a traffic study needs to be done. Sure, go ahead. I'll give you another minute.
Thank you. I defy anyone here to find a development anywhere in the metropolitan area with a 48,000 square foot store, Caribou liquor store, apartments, plus two more, that is on a 2-lane road with no dedicated left or right turn lanes, no stoplights or anything else, no crosswalks, sidewalks, etc. And further, I'll defy you to find one anywhere in the United States. You know, they haven't been done since the 40s.
Okay,
And
thanks.
so what
We
I
understand.
want is this to be
We're,
successful
yes.
for the developer, for the community, for our residents, and everybody, because if we
Thank
fail on doing this and doing it right, McIntoons is not gonna be happy, none of the residents are gonna be happy.
We
There's
understand.
gonna be safety issues and problems.
Thank you.
And,
Yeah.
you know,
Thank you.
this is
So
important stuff.
couple things. Turn lanes are already there, and that's why we're doing the traffic study to determine if we need more or longer turn lanes. And we've heard from people here this evening, they'd like to see some sidewalks. We've also heard from Mr. Muller about pedestrian crossings. We've already started looking into that. And so a lot of those things that you're saying, Mr. Harden, are already being addressed. And I know some people, and I'm going to get to you in just a second, so hold on. I know some people have cited or stated that this traffic study was done 10 years ago. The traffic study was done 10 years ago. However, they used the entire build-out of Woodland Cove, including commercial use. And they used that for their traffic study to determine what would be appropriate. So this wasn't determined based on a few houses being there. This was determined based on 1,071 units plus commercial. So just so that everybody's aware of that, I'm going to go to this lady in the back.
Very quick question, do you have other renderings, like elevations, side elevations, things we can see for the plan?
Yes, there are front elevations, and they were
The
at,
apartment building or for McIntyre?
for,
Full development that's gonna be added in that area.
yes.
Yeah, it was in the planning commission.
And in our-
packet
in our
and the
packet.
City council one. It's in the city council packet from July 18th. You can see all the renderings for,
On the Minnetrista website?
Yes.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
and it's got the apartment, what the apartment will look like. The apartment builder is the same one that did the Tonka Bay Apartments. So next to,
Oh, that's why I gave-
yeah, the new ones that just went there under the big water tower. So that's the same developer. It's gonna look almost the same, except it's gonna be one unit. Those are two because of an easement issue they had. But it's gonna look almost the same as that with a different color pattern. I believe those ones are brown and ours are gonna be blue.
Yeah.
So that'll give you an idea of what the apartments will look like.
And is the plan for the fire area, is that already?
No,
Okay.
No, that's
We
future.
just have the land.
Yeah,
That's it.
Okay.
all right. And then, okay, question here?
Yeah, I'm thinking about the area across the street from the development that we're discussing tonight. How can we be certain that the river, that the community will have the river so that that is also planned really carefully and that, because you can see some,
Right.
you know, an unappealing little strip mall cropping up.
Right.
Well,
So the question, let me repeat the question so that those in the back. This lady in the front said the other two air parcels that are designated commercial, how are you all, everyone, going to be assured that they are going to be well done and fit into the community?
I mean, the city can't control who buys them, who wants to put something in, so we can't stop that. But we'll make sure it looks like it should be in the neighborhood, fits with how the McIntoons landscaping and everything is, make sure that the in-road out makes sense how they do it and where they do it, and that it fits. We'll do the same thing there that we're doing with this. We're not just gonna let them put something in and not comment on it.
But, you know, so maybe,
Right.
but a consistent siding so it looks.
Yeah, and we also have, yeah, and we have building
We have building
standards.
codes, yeah.
And we have building standards too, so that they'd have to adhere to. I'm going to go to the gentleman in the back and then the lady in the green.
My question is for the officer, please.
Yep, go ahead.
Number one, thanks for your service.
Yeah.
What is the police department anticipating as far as the level of crime increase associated with an apartment housing?
You say crime increase regarding the additional apartment being put in place?
Right.
Given this development and the study that's all gone on, Chief Falls and the department, we're well aware of the development that's been put into place, both commercial and residential. and we will monitor and address any needs that are necessary to make sure people are safe and the roads are safe and the pedestrians are safe.
So just to answer kind of to your point, these are high-end apartments. I don't know that that makes a
No,
difference.
I
I'm just saying,
understand that. It's just that, from
But-
what I've read, correct me if I'm wrong, sir, is that apartment complexes typically bring a higher crime rate to a neighborhood?
no, that's not necessarily true.
Actually worked in
I
property
can-
management for 15 years and managed large apartment communities. This is very small compared to what I managed. And rarely, unless we had underground garages that were getting broken into, it did not bring in any more crime into any areas that, were already there. And they're talking about doing high end. I don't know if they're gonna have underground garages.
There will be an underground,
So-
but you need a pass to get in.
So that, they're gonna be the ones that have to
Okay,
worry
that
about.
was just my question.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Right.
Appreciate it.
So then the lady in the bright green, yeah.
All right, so I just had a quick question. Besides the safety concerns with the traffic, which everybody else talked about, I was just a little concerned with, because if you remember, last year we had the drought and a few people's trees died and grass died, and I know you're talking about the wells, and we have the 400 new houses and all these new developments, and I'm just a little concerned because, like my husband was saying too, that the houses that we would eat some of the cost, and I was wondering why it would be us eating the cost
For what?
for the new wells.
It's everybody that's on the system. So there's 3 buckets that we get our funds from. Everyone that's on the system pays a monthly, quarterly bill. So basically, you pay for the water that you use. That's one bucket that we get our money from. The other bucket is called area charges. So when a developer comes in, they are charged on a per acre basis. So prior to them even being able to build anything, they have to pay over $8,000 per acre just for water infrastructure. And then the third bucket is connection fees. So think about it. If there's 148 units, these are units for the apartment building. That alone is going to bring in, I think it's $3,500 approximately per unit for connection fees. So those are the 3 buckets that we get our funds from. And then the cost for the new wells and the treatment plants, that's not because of this commercial property coming in. That's because Woodland Cove is growing. So that's why that has to go in. If Woodland Cove got no more housing, this commercial property could be there and we wouldn't have to put in more wells. So it's because Woodland Cove is growing and because of the water usage that we need to put in more wells and more treatment and potentially another treatment plant. And everybody pays, not even just this. So we have 2 systems. We have a southern system and a northern system, and the central system is connected to everybody in the city that's on water puts into the pot. So, and then I have this lady back here.
It's like along those lines then, timing of this project of when the new well will come on the system, because you're making it sound like with the addition of the new Woodland homes and then Mackenzie's that we wouldn't have enough water.
We will have enough water, and we're also working with St. Bonnie on a hopefully a proposal that we could purchase at least on a temporary basis, water from them. Plus, we also have this new engineering firm, and I think that they're going to come up with some very creative ideas too. Depending on how good the water quality is, we may be able to pump it right directly into our system. It's going to take about another year approximately before we can get those wells up and running. But if we could pump them into our current system without the treatment plant on a temporary basis, we'll have plenty of water. So, I mean, I don't want to send out wrong information, but again, our water engineers that are coming on board are going to look at all of this, and they're going to be recommending what we can do on an interim and a long-term basis. Follow-up question?
Just one other quick
Yeah.
question, unrelated. I know that there's been information regarding when deliveries would be allowed at the store. Is that something that you guys have?
It's in the 718 packet too.
Yeah.
They
What's the time?
listed it all out.
I think it was 6.
6 to 2.
Yeah.
And I think Becca was talking about the treated water. It had mentioned untreated water with iron, manganese,
Right, and that's why I'm saying, depending on the water quality that we get out of these test wells, the water is at the lab, so we don't know the water quality yet. But depending on the quality, I'll go to you, this gentleman in the yellow.
My name's Gary C. and I've been around Woodland Cove since 2016 as one of the original townhomes. And I'm a supporter of the project somewhat. I see that there's been a number of food stores that have developed in the area, Kowalski's and others that have failed, obviously. And I would hope that Mac Foods has done their due diligence on
They
this.
are.
I know that it's their problem. It would be the worst problem if it ends up being a white elephant, whatever you call it. And I think that most of the people here have problems with traffic.
Right.
And they have problems with problems with people crossing over Kings Point Road. I think that's a big issue.
Yep, we've
And I've always
heard
been
that.
concerned with the ability to get in and out of our community. With more and more homes being built there and more people, you got like one access, Kings Point Road.
And Lotus Drive. Yeah, in 44. Well, it is right now, and because it's still being worked on, and it's, right.
It has improved in the last few months. People have told me it's different.
Yeah.
Now, I went through the other day. It's
Right.
It's gonna get better.
It's-
not an area that's going to be different. It's an area that's going to help get in and out. And we need to have more ingress and egress into the community. I understand that they're saying that nothing more is going to come in from Highway 7. I would think that it would be nice to be able to have something come in.
It would be nice.
Other areas, but
I think we agree with you.
that's not going to come in, or they're going to come down Kings Point.
Yeah,
And
so,
I believe that there doesn't look, unless you have a two-lane
right. Yeah.
road there, there's going to be really enough ability to get in and out of the raccoons or apartment complexes. It's not going to cause
Okay.
tremendous problems.
Thank you.
The other thing on the water issue, is that going to mean that there's going to be a building being built there too as well then, or what?
No, the water treatment plant would be in the very, very, very southeast corner of Woodland Cove. It would take up about 3/4 of an acre, maybe an acre at the most. So I'm going to go to this lady in the front, and then I'll go to this gentleman after you, the gentleman in the glasses. And please let's try and be cognizant of the time. Okay, we'll get to you folks up there.
Okay, thank you, I'll be brief. So just two-part question. Part one is to confirm, we are not at preliminary approval yet. We are going to be looking at the traffic study results as an input
Right.
to granting preliminary approval.
Correct.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Did everybody hear that? Okay, so this lady made the comment, she said two parts. One, it's not at preliminary approval, it has not been preliminarily approved, and traffic study will be a part of that.
Right, that was the first part.
Okay.
And then the second part, I'll say it louder, is assuming that everything works out beautifully, has McAtoon's given an estimate when they'll open?
Yes, if everything goes according to plan, spring of 24. So it takes a while to build these things, especially in today's climate with the,
The apartment will go in first. They're gonna, when they start doing all the excavating, everything, the apartment's gonna go in first, because that has the underground parking, so they'll get that in, and then McAtoon's will be able, while that's going up, but yeah. they're planning
It'll
for-
probably be simultaneously, and then, and McAtoon's is hoping spring of 24. Gentleman with the glasses there, and then people out in the hall. Go ahead.
Resident in Woodland Cove, and the exit from Woodland Cove Boulevard onto Kings Point is the main exit I know a lot of us use. I know we've all harped on traffic, but with the hill, it's already fairly blind, and then we're gonna be adding more traffic for caribou goers, for liquor store goers, for the apartment complex, for the grocery store. 31 semi-trucks a week, not even counting box trucks, which would be your Pepsi, Coke vendors, things like that, things on the lift gate. So I want that thrown in as a concern, because I don't think, the hill, you can't see who's coming, and you basically have to try and watch the roundabout.
And that might be something we can talk to MnDOT about. Again, it's a MnDOT issue, but,
The road.
oh, you're saying Kings Point? Okay.
So it's a you issue, not a
Okay.
MnDOT issue.
Okay. We can have our Do you want to make a note of that? We
Yeah.
can have our traffic engineers take a look at that.
The hill you can't see.
Okay, so you can't see when you're coming down or going up?
If you're leaving,
Okay,
We're west on Woodland Cove Boulevard, trying to turn
I,
south on
okay.
King Point Road.
okay,
and that's gonna be the main entrance for every person coming in to the new
Okay.
development that we're talking about.
It
Right.
also, it's gonna be the main access for the grocery store itself, directly across from that. So
Right.
if you have a bunch of people left turning, we're never gonna be able to get out of there. And we're
Okay.
already having to wait 10 minutes sometimes to get into the roundabout itself.
okay.
Yeah.
There were some people in the hallway. I don't want to leave them out. You had a question?
My question was exactly hers. So
Okay, thank you. And then the lady over here.
So when these have the picture, as these two extra spots are noted, one of them says multifamily. Has that already been taken for multifamily, like the square on the bottom?
The multifamily is the big one.
Yeah, I think you're.
Two small ones are both just commercial, not multifamily.
You're looking at the engineer or the developer's copy. That's wrong. They put that on their survey. That's incorrect. It's commercial. Those two are
just
commercial. For whatever reason, they have it listed as multifamily.
Consideration, I guess, when we're looking at traffic, because Huckleberry Drive is a private street, to put like a berm here that wouldn't bring traffic and would reduce noise from Mac and Coons and the apartment building, or like a city dog park or park in general that wouldn't bring additional traffic. Especially considering that.
The city doesn't own those lots.
The city doesn't own those lots. Thank you. Ms. Refkin pointed out, the city does not own these lots. These are privately owned. The developer owns these lots. So if you would, as the homeowners in Woodland Cove would like that lot to be developed in some other manner or fashion, then you should have a discussion with the developer. No, no, Carlson
Company.
Carlson Development.
Woodland Cove LLC.
Yeah.
Woodland Cove LLC. And I'm assuming your HOA has contact information for them. So, yeah, there you go. Okay, hold on just a second. Are there any other questions? This gentleman over here, and then I'll get back to you. We have a few more minutes.
So I just had a question on the other two commercial lots. I know you said that there hadn't been a whole lot of interest because there wasn't enough houses. Do we have any
We have,
idea of
yeah,
what potentially is going?
no,
No,
we
it
don't
just
have
depends on
anything.
who buys it and what they want to put in.
All right, in front here?
Will you be painting the water tower? It looks like.
Yes.
No. No.
Eventually.
Do you know how much it costs to paint a water? Well, first of all, it was painted. It was already painted. But, well, oh, you're talking about the one in Kings Point Road. I thought you meant.
Ours.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
it's going to be painted.
That is going to be.
You have to paint it in the summer and it has to be drained.
No, about
No.
700,000.
But
Can we paint it with a better paint then, so it lasts longer?
That actually has lasted about
better.
25 years.
well, and it'll be better because the water's now treated that's going into it versus the water that used to be in it. So once it's painted, it should last longer. But I think it's scheduled for 2023 or 2024.
Yes, either 2023 or 2024.
Right.
We have to time it out with the water needs because it has to be shut down for about 6 months. So drain for 6 months.
And you have to paint it in the summer.
Yeah, and yeah, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you'll like it a lot better when you know that. So yeah, it is scheduled for rehabilitation, but the painting, I thought you meant the new one. So anyhow, okay, one more question over here.
To kind of back up the other gentleman's comment, about the other two commercial lots, we know in the past Mac and Tunes has influenced Laconia's growth or lack thereof. Do they have any say about what goes into those lots?
Only if they
No,
buy the lot.
only if they buy. Yes, thank you. Good comment. Only if they buy the lots. Right.
So the other open lot on their property, the one behind the store, they own that property. They will be able to say what goes back there. But as of now, they have not bought the other two commercial lots. So they will have a say in what goes behind the grocery store.
Okay, Mr. Harden again.
A question, you mentioned earlier that we cannot cause traffic to back up onto Highway 7. So between 4 and 6, using the current configuration, and everybody's gotten their text as to what they are supposed to pick up at Mac and Tunes on their way home, and traffic already backs up to Rolling Acre Road every afternoon, Monday through Friday generally. And so now everybody's gonna try and turn in, and there's no way they can make a left-hand turn into the new development.
Right.
And even more traffic is gonna back up on Highway 7. What are the consequences for us?
I would say you need to contact your senator, and you need to contact your representative, and you need to contact the Department of Transportation, and you need to talk to them. No, I'm serious. And express.
You said we can't do it.
You can do it.
We're causing it. Our development would be causing the traffic.
You can talk to
back
them.
up and stop traffic on Highway 7, and
Okay.
it will.
All right, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just telling you, if you have concerns about Highway 7, which I totally understand, I would honestly contact your representatives at the state level. I would contact commissioners, the MnDOT commissioners, and express your concerns. We have, and we continue to work with them on a number of different issues. To this day, they won't give us another entrance. So, not sure if our voices aren't loud enough or big enough, not sure. But one more question. Okay. You can ask them that. You can ask them that. All right. I'm going to take this gentleman in the back real quick.
You had mentioned about Lotus and how it's going to be improved. What's that and what's the timing on it?
Do you know the timing on it?
Right now. So this summer they're working on it. You'll see some of the roads, kind of they're temporary roads. Those will be removed. You'll see houses being built in those areas that the temp roads are moved. It should all be done by next summer. Lotus should be in its final configuration.
Will it be wider?
No.
It will not be wider. You can see the areas that have curb and gutter. That's as wide as Lotus will be.
Okay, misunderstanding. I'm referring to the existing Lotus that's
Through the
going
park?
the neighborhood.
Oh.
The tree in between the new development
Yep.
and 41.
So
Nope.
that is park. So I'll give you a little history and background on that. That is Three Rivers Park District, and the road width that was there is what we had to work with. And they were adamant about, and also other people in the community were adamant about the fact that they did not want it widened. And so it's like a parkway. So consider it like a parkway. If we had widened it, there'd be, traffic would flow faster. If you know anything about traffic studies, you should know this, Mr. Harden, that the wider the road, the faster people travel. And so we wanted to do a calming, so that's why it is narrower. And it will basically, the portion that's in the wooded area, that goes through the wooded area there, that's going to stay like that.
Is that because that neighborhood is a little bit wealthier than ours?
I wouldn't say that they're wealthier. Okay, I'm not even going to answer that question, but I will. No, it's not.
Who's concerned about the width? You said the residents.
Three Rivers Park District is one of them. So I answered your question. Three Rivers Park District did not want it widened either. So one more question, and then we're going to call it.
So the study we're having done right now, that Matt Convins is helping to pay for, could that give us some concrete information for your comments that we could rally a meeting at Woodland Cove, our facility, with MnDOT state senators, whatever, with this study that's being done right now? Perhaps be some added information that wasn't available when the study was done 10 years ago?
I think the study that would be a better help would be the safety report that MnDOT is doing. That might be of some help. The other one, of course, you could use this study, but this study is specific about how much more traffic Macintoons is going to be generating. Okay, so it's a little more specific, and it's also going to tell us how long the turn lanes need to be, where they need to go, and then also any other
traffic controls, additions, stop signs, yield signs, things like that.
Pedestrian crossing.
In the Kings Point Road area.
Right. So.
I have a process question, if you don't mind. Very quick.
Very quick. You have less than a minute.
You said that this development will be approved, and we're all engaged in a dialogue.
Right.
How can it be approved? Are you speaking on behalf of the council, Because it doesn't have to go through voting process to say, this is really what's right.
It goes to the council, and 5 members of the council vote on this
You know
development.
what they're voting, they're all voted yes already?
I can tell you that so far there's been a unanimous, I think a unanimous consensus that we are in favor of this. We will work on the details.
Okay.
So,
So is it fruitless for anybody to?
no,
anymore?
no, it's not. I think you all made some very good comments this evening. The crosswalks, the sight lines on Kings Point Road, the lighting, and those type of things. Those are all good information and good comments to make. So we appreciate it. Thank you for your time. All right.